Hello, viewers, readers, and listeners of the Indian Express. I am Flora Swai, and this evening, today, with me, our diplomatic editor Shubhajit Roy, and we will be talking about India's role as a negotiator, as a mediator in the Russia-Ukraine war. Shubhajit, India is currently at such a juncture in the Russia-Ukraine war that last week President Putin said that India, along with China and Brazil, can mediate peace talks with Ukraine. A couple of days ago, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said that India can help in finding a solution. Do you think that now, in the midst of all this, India is in a spotlight?
Well, India is in a spotlight in a sense that after Prime Minister Modi made the two back-to-back visits within about 6 weeks' time.
Yeah.
First, he went to Moscow on July 8th and 9th, and then he went to Kyiv on about 6 weeks later on 23rd of August. So, since these two back-to-back visits, the focus has come on India because Prime Minister Modi, he expressed willingness, not just India's readiness or willingness, but also his personal willingness to contribute to the peace process,
Right.
to play an active role. That's
Right.
how he framed it. And so that has been the Indian position. Now, it has been talking about the fact that dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward.
Right.
So, if you put these two as guidelines, then India, for the first time, is expressing a very categorical interest in playing a role
Correct.
in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which has been on for about 2.5 years now.
Correct.
After the visits, Prime Minister Modi spoke to President Biden first, then President Putin, and he exchanged perspectives, briefed them on the situation, and after that, in the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok, Russian President Putin, he said that China, India, and Brazil can play a role.
Correct.
How President Putin has framed it is essentially he's looking at his partners in the BRICS grouping, because Brazil, Russia, India, China, they are part of the Brazil grouping.
Correct.
And the BRICS Leaders Summit is going to take place in October in
Right.
Russia, which President Putin will host, in which Prime Minister Modi is invited, President Xi Jinping is expected to go, and Brazilian President Lula, they are also expected to go. So he's essentially setting up a situation where possibly, this BRICS leaders meeting might talk about a sort of a peace process.
Right.
Whether that will work out or not, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something he's framed, and this is what it comes across right now. Obviously, the battlefield situation will also determine how things play out.
Correct.
So we are still about more than 6 weeks away from the BRICS summit, because BRICS summit is scheduled between October 22nd and October 24th.
Right.
So what happens from here on till that time on the battlefield, we don't know.
Yeah.
So that variable will also shape how the conversation on the peace process goes out.
Correct.
So in that context, yes, India is now on a spotlight since, I would say, August 23rd, since Prime Minister Modi went to Kyiv.
Right.
Yeah.
in between, Russian presidential spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, he categorically said that PM Modi can lead the line on getting first-hand information on those involved in the conflict, as he, as in Modi, freely communicates with Putin, with Zelensky, and also the Americans, according to him. Would you say that, because we have spoken about this earlier, would you say Modi is now very strategically placed as a world leader who sort of gets along with everyone?
Prime Minister Modi has developed channels of communication with President Putin, President Zelensky, and President Biden.
Correct.
He's spoken to all three of them in the last few weeks. Even before that, ever since the conflict, the war started in Ukraine, I think he's spoken to Zelensky about 7 times, with Putin probably about 7 to 10 times, and President Biden as well.
Right.
And he's expected to visit the United States later this month, where he is also again expected to meet President Biden. So, and a month later, he is expected to meet President Putin and President Xi as well at the BRICS Leaders Summit. So this tells you that the key players of the conflict, he has been in touch with all these parties.
Correct.
And also, if you remember, just after Prime Minister Modi won the third term and took office, he traveled to Europe, to Italy, to the G7 Leaders Summit.
Correct.
Where he also met the European leaders as well as the Zelensky as well at that particular on the sidelines of the summit.
Correct.
So what we can clearly see is that he has carefully positioned himself as someone who is talking to all different sides.
Correct.
So that puts him in a one of the few world leaders who has a line of communication with all sides in the conflict.
Right. For all our updates on the Russia-US war, on all of Shubhajit's articles, you can find on our website, indianexpress.com. Keep watching the official YouTube channel of the Indian Express for such discussions and analysis. Thank you so much for joining us. With me, I am Flora Swine. With me this evening, Shubhajit Roy, the diplomatic editor of the Indian Express.